Welcome to Moments with Mickles. I'm Leslie Mickle.
And I'm Bernard Mickle.
And together we are Life Sustain. So today's conversation is going to be wrapped around how do you maintain a sense of independence and autonomy when you are in a committed relationship?
Yeah, that's a good question. First thing that comes to mind is it's important for me to kind of get some time out with my guys, my line brothers, my frat brothers. That gives me, that energizes me, right? After long weeks of work and dealing with the norm of having a young family and being married, I found that it was important to have that space where you get to operate yourself, right? I don't have a lot of hobbies, back in the day I did flag football, and you supported me in that, but mainly, it's really just having an opportunity to once a week get out and kind of either be by myself. Sometimes I hang out with Jabri, sometimes I hang out with Andrew, my rest of my LBs, and that just kind of gives me, that's important to me. That helps me maintain independence as it relates to our marriage, right? I don't feel that everything is synced together to where there is no more BJ, right?
As believers, as a Christian married couple, the saying is 1 + 1 = 1, which is true. It has some biblical principles to that, right? But I do find that people always say that, like, oh, I become in one when I get married to my significant other. Like, it's no longer I, it's we. And it's like, that's true too. But in order for us to maintain that sense of independency, you have to understand that I am still my own person. I still have my own interests and hobbies, and I was a person before coming to this relationship, and it's important to maintain that, or there's going to be issues within your relationship, because I think too much of a good thing is still too much of a good thing, right? So for me, it's always been a struggle. You have always been the person who has been busy. You have had the most people of friends, like you never meet a stranger. Yeah, you have always had a busy just lifestyle. And for me, I'm a homebody. I like to be at the house. I can watch a movie. I can do anything that requires me to just stay in the home. That's my thing. But once we got into, I would say more so our marriage instead of our relationship, because, wine and dine, date nights, things like that. But now that we've been married for 9 years, things have changed. In order for me to keep that independence or that sense of autonomy, my desires have shifted a little bit. So obviously I still love you. I still love my kids. I love our house. I still love being at home. But I've had to realize that I need self-care. Now my self-care might be going to the spa, or it might just be driving up to, my favorite restaurant and sitting there and listening to a book while I'm eating dinner, by myself. It's a lot of different ways of what that kind of manifests as, but that keeps me sane. It keeps me as in Leslie, and I think it keeps our relationship healthy. When you have one particular person or partner who is always out or always doing things, and the other person isn't, or the other person is always running behind that individual, sometimes you can get feelings of resentment. Sometimes it's perfectly fine. It just depends on how people are wired and what works in their relationships. But after a long period of time of being in a committed relationship, and you're talking about years and years of being together, sometimes that individual can lose themselves if they don't do that. So for me personally, it's making the time. Like sometimes I don't want to, but I need to. It's really just making the time to get out and do something that I like to do for myself.
Yep. And since we're on you, just even as early in our marriage, I used to really encourage and push you to go out, and it used to frustrate me because you wouldn't do it, right? I'll think of this cool thing. I'll get this note, write a special note, put it in a card, and create something to where when you see it, you have to open it up, and it's like, I hope you have a great day at the spa, right? And some money will be in there, or whatever, and then you wouldn't go.
Yes.
Right? Or set up opportunity to get your nails and feet done, and I'll set the appointment, and then you'd be like, no, I don't feel like going. Right? So that was early on, right? So it is great to see that, as not only as we grew in our marriage, but as our family grew and more responsibilities came, that's when I saw the importance that you felt in your independence that we began to have to readdress that? And again, my wife, Leslie, you already said it, like, because of how I am, how busy I am, that was awkward for me to see that transition. Mm-hmm. Because I instantly felt like, man, I got competing schedules. Then the kids have things, that's another competing schedule. So now we literally have to orchestrate, everybody's schedule, from the girls' play dates and extracurricular activities, to you and your book clubs or gardening or the independent time that you may get, to me and the independent time that I might get. It's all a part of what we do now. And like my wife was saying, it's you have to do it, right? You can't just be up under your spouse and expect that you would never think about doing something for yourself, right? I love how you said self-care, right? Self-care aligns with selfish, but that's when selfish is important, because you're being selfish in order to love your spouse, in order to show up your best self, right? In order to be re-energized, right? So you can be a great father, a great mother, right? Or whatever that may be. So it's you gotta have that time, you gotta have that independence. And I would say, man, husbands, support your wife or your partner. If you guys have children, one of the things I always notice is even extroverts end up being stuck at home with the children, and I notice that's a normal thing, but we gotta unnormalize that, fellas. We gotta make sure that we're not normalizing that our wives are stuck with the children. We need to take the children. We need to send our spouses away, connect them with their friends or whatever that looks like for them, so they can maintain their independence. And I believe, as the head of our household, as like you said, as a family, that's what I define as a kingdom family. It is my responsibility to make sure everybody's well-being and self-care is there, right? Because I know we can't function well as a unit if you're not well, if I'm not well, or if the church is not well. So that's something we focus on, especially as we head towards year 10.
Yeah. You said a lot of good points just now, but one in particular is the one that you kind of ended with, in regards to, in order for us to be able to pour into, the family and to be a good wife, a good husband, mother, father, whatever title that is, that you have to be kind of filled yourself. And I had to learn that the hard way. Yes, definitely in the very beginning, you would set something up and I'm like, nah. And it was really out of just guilt, more so mom guilt. That transition is real. And again, someone who's just not necessarily used to always just being the one who's going out and doing things. But it was important for me to realize, like, I can't pour out of an empty cup, and my cup is just emptying out constantly. Right. So being able to recognize that in yourself and being okay with that. I also like how you said normalize, men or fathers having the kids and sending out their wives or their partner to hang out with their friends. But I would even say just normalize giving each other space and supporting that as an individual, still within that committed relationship. It's important because when you don't have it and you don't feel like you're supported, then that's when you also start to, bump heads in regards to feeling like you can't be yourself, or you can't have that autonomy. Yeah. And when someone is squeezed and they feel the pressure of not being able to be who they are within that relationship, that's when conflict and things arise. Yeah, and we experience it, and I like to say exactly that. We experience it, not we have experienced it, because it's a daily thing that you continue to adjust to. Yep. And manage, right? Because the needs change. Sometimes it's literally coming home and saying, give me time, right? Just the other night, I literally was like, hey, how much time do you need to yourself, right? We had a long day. You took the kids to where they need to go. We came home and handled household things. And then it was finally time to ourselves. Well, in that moment, I wanted time with you. I wasn't thinking about self. I just wanted time with you, right? Fellas, y'all know what that means. Okay. But the reality is, you needed time to yourself. Yes. And I had to give you that time, right?
the night ended up going all the way away. You slept through the night, and you were comfortable with that. And though I wanted to wake you up, I didn't, because I knew how important that independent time was for you to be rejuvenated and kind of be back into a space to where you can again show up the next day for your family.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So wrapping this up, what tip would you leave? One tip.
One tip that I would say is kind of what I was ending with. You need to balance togetherness and alone time. I'm gonna repeat that. You need to balance togetherness and you need to balance alone time. Both of those are vital to the relationship and life of the relationship, and ultimately it is life giving.
Yes.
To the relationship. So that's the one tip I'll leave as it relates to the importance of independence and maintaining your autonomy.
I would say recognize your needs and then communicate them. So one, you need to recognize that you do need to take that time. You need to, have that sense of independency in your hobbies and all of that. But then you also need to communicate that to your spouse or your partner so that they understand that that's important for you. It's a need for you. And then also being able to communicate how they can support you in that, so that, like you're saying, that there is a balance. So it's not 100% I'm going to the right and the extreme, and I'm trying to have nothing but my entire alone time and almost bump this relationship, but I'm also not, going all the way to the left side where it's like, I just want to be connected to you at the hip, morning, afternoon and night type thing. And just making sure that there is that balance and you're able to communicate so everybody feels that their needs are getting met, and you guys are two separate individuals coming to this relationship and being able to bring everything that you bring as an individual to that relationship to be better. Yeah.
Don't take advantage. I know you said one.
Okay, see, now you're taking advantage.
Don't take advantage.
You're taking advantage. As we wrap up.
No, it's important. It's important. Don't take advantage of getting your independence, right? A partner could get so lost in their independence to where it now takes away from the family, it now takes away from spending time with kids, your spouse, and other important things that goals that you and your significant other has. And so I'll leave y'all with that one, right? Don't take advantage, but at the same time, balance it, right? So those who like the club, and you still got those single friends, don't take advantage. That's one of the things I'm talking about. Don't take advantage. Go out with your boys, and you know that you got your family at home because you're looking for independence. All right? So I'm going to leave y'all with that one.
Ooh, that's another topic. Maybe we'll have to do that next time. All right, but we appreciate your time today. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time.